Our sponsor, Silent Pocket, has a great deal going on right now for a limited time, and that's their Privacy Starter Kit. Silent Pocket's Privacy Starter Kit includes a medium-sized Faraday sleeve for your smartphone, a flexible key fob guard, and privacy stickers for your laptop. This is everything you need to step up your digital privacy. Pick up your Privacy Starter Kit today by visiting sharedsecurity.net/privacykit, and don't forget to use discount code SharedSecurity to take 15% off your order.
Over 90% of individuals show risky behavior in handling potential phishing messages, according to ClickArmor's free CanIBeFished.com self-assessment. This engaging coronavirus edition of CanIBeFished.com can help identify your team's total vulnerability to phishing attacks that exploit the pandemic situation. So test your own vulnerability to phishing attacks for free now at CanIBeFished.com.
Welcome to episode 119 of the Shared Security Weekly Blaze, and we are joined by Mr. Social Distance himself, Kevin Johnson.
That's the new way to say introvert.
Yes. Well, welcome back to the show, Kevin.
Thanks for having me back.
Yes. Always good to have you on. So how are things going? You surviving the quarantine? Well, almost not even a quarantine anymore, right? I mean, things are starting to open back up in Florida.
Well, let's be clear. I live in Florida, so we do whatever.
Open.
Right? Yeah. Forget it. I actually, I don't go outside anyways. So yeah,
there you go.
I haven't noticed.
So no change for you at all.
No, we're cooking at home more, which is good.
That is good.
Yeah.
So we have a few topics to talk about on this week's show. The first one, which is, I think I'm interested to get your take on this, but there's been more and more of this surveillance technology starting to be used by companies and especially factories now that factories are starting to open back up and people are slowly starting to go back to work. And there's obviously the concern of screening people as they come into work with technology like social distancing detectors and checking to see if you have a fever or not.
Yeah.
And this obviously has raised a lot of alarms around privacy and civil liberties. So I'm interested in your take on is this a violation of our rights, or is this now going to be the new normal for all of us?
So this is one of those rant topics that, to be honest, I can see both sides, right? Like I totally believe when we talk about the government doing it, I totally believe that's a violation of our rights and everything else.
Right.
Like that. Whether it's a violation I'm okay with, that's a different conversation, but it's definitely a violation of our rights. When we talk about private organizations doing it,
Mm-hmm.
It's not a violation of our rights because that's a government thing, but that doesn't make it okay. And I'm actually really, really concerned about the amount of things people are willing to accept without question, right? Like if 3 months ago, your employer said, I'm going to check your temperature before you come into work to make sure you're okay and allowed in the building, people would have a hissy fit, correctly so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, agreed.
And I've seen people who have argued against the idea being bashed and getting death threats because, well, we're just trying to make it safer for you. And it's like, it's funny to me, you know, that's what Mao said, right? Or like, we're going to make it better for you. And it didn't seem to work out for a whole bunch of people in China. I'm concerned. I think that it is absolutely part of the new normal. I think that, right, we're going to see lots of, hey, I want to do this to make sure we're safer. And I think it really is a question that vigilance has to be better to protect ourselves, but we have to recognize that there are benefits, right? We've talked about this before with regards to privacy, not related to the pandemic, that there are certain things I'm willing to give up privacy for because of the benefit I get or other people get because of it. I think a lot of these things fall into that category. I'm willing to do that. I'm okay. I recognize I'm giving up rights, I'm giving up privacy, I'm giving up whatever, but I'm okay doing that. But I believe we have to be very, very vigilant to make sure that it doesn't, I'm not going to say slippery slope, but it doesn't swing too far the other way.
Yeah.
That
I
makes
think,
sense?
oh yeah, totally. And I think the other concern is that a lot of this technology is kind of unproven as well. I mean, there's already,
And
I
insecure.
that absolutely.
Yeah.
But, just think about like testing for a fever, right? With all these new devices coming out. I'd say it's unreliable because, I mean, your body temperature can change quite frequently, and you don't even have to have the coronavirus, right? You could just be overheated.
You run hot for a while, right?
Right.
My youngest daughter has always run a higher temperature
Yeah.
than normal, right? Like, and when she was a baby, as parents, we were constantly going to the doctor, constantly going to the emergency room, like, oh my God, she's got a fever. And it really was just, yeah, she's just hotter. And so how does that come in? Yeah, I don't know. It's scary. I am more afraid of what we're going to end up with privacy wise and security wise than I am of COVID-19. And I'm not saying that to downplay the deaths that have happened. I'm not demeaning that. I'm just saying from a risk assessment perspective, me, Kevin, is at a higher risk for that stuff than COVID-19.
Yeah.
So that scares me.
Yeah. And kind of the other topic too this week that's been in the news a lot is, Google and Apple have finally come out and released details of that new framework that they are going to be rolling out to every single Android device and Apple iPhone on the planet.
Yes.
One thing I do want to clarify for our listeners, and there's been some misinformation out about that. A lot of people are thinking that Apple is going to deploy an app to my device, or Google's going to deploy an app without any choice. And that is not true. What they've done is they've developed a framework, or, in the technical world, it's called an API, right? That these apps, these contact tracing apps, can interface with. And I've actually read through some of the specs, and actually it's very, I'd say they've taken a very good privacy and security approach to it, which is what I would expect from two big companies like that. And of course, everything is open source, so that's good as well. And I know, Kevin, you are a open source bigot, so
Fanatic.
fanatic. Sorry, fanatic. Let's clarify that for our listeners.
Yeah.
But those are all good things.
Yes.
But I find it interesting, some of the surveys coming out, that a majority of Americans are saying they're not going to use any contact tracing apps. And for a lot of reasons, it's because they don't trust Apple and Google, which isn't surprising anymore, right?
Yeah.
As well as the government agencies that will be the ones that have to expose this data. So while Apple and Google won't know who you are, right, because they've done a good job from that perspective, but it's the government agencies, right, that we always have to worry about.
Yeah, I'm a mixed bag on this one. I've argued with one of my guys, Nathan, about this. We're adding risk. We're adding and I'm not saying that's a significant risk. I'm just saying that the minute you add functionality, you've added risk. What really concerns me is not this framework, but the next framework. And we've already seen where, was it NIH in the UK that have said, no, we're not going to use the decentralized model that Google and Apple are rolling out. We're going to roll out our own centralized model. And what I'm more concerned about is the apps that tie to this framework. What are they doing with the data? I'm not really concerned with what Apple and Google are, because Apple and Google already have access to where I'm located, and really, well, Google does because I carry an Android phone, but I don't think they're adding more risk to me for them as to what they are going to use it for. But all of the apps that tie into this API, this framework, without me realizing it, or what have you, right? What do they do with it? Are they then taking that decentralized data and centralizing it? And honestly, we've seen way too many mobile apps get built horribly, and not even on purpose, just, hey, we have to have a mobile app, and they rush down a path. That's where my bigger concern is. government agencies and companies. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think I don't think we should all rely on these apps and people using them as kind of the bellwether of whether or not the coronavirus is going away or not, or even from a contact tracing perspective, because a lot of people don't have smartphones. I think a lot of people forget that there's an
Yep.
older population of elderly people and others that there's some people I know that refuse to give up their flip phone. They're not
Yeah.
drug dealers. They are just, they, you're
I love that you have to qualify that, not drug dealers.
because every TV show that you watch with drug dealers, they all have flip phones. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but anyway, so you're talking about you're talking about a lot of people that are probably in that group of being most vulnerable to COVID-19 that don't even have phones to begin with. So
yeah. I also think that one of the biggest things, and you said it, and I know you don't mean it the way it was phrased, right? But so many of these people are waiting to see when COVID-19 is gone, and it's not. It's never going to be gone. That's like waiting for the common cold to be gone. And no, before people start saying, "Oh, Kevin called COVID-19 the common cold," I'm not. But this is going to be with us forever. This, we may find a vaccine and may be able to, once the 5G towers go up, we'll be protected. But
let's not even go there.
But you mean, like, even if we have a vaccine, the disease still exists. We're gonna see outbreaks. We're gonna see, and that's why I think that like with the previous topic, right? It's a new normal. We're gonna have to start looking at how we monitor for this stuff. And I also think, honestly, I think it's, in some hand it's been good, in other hands it's been bad, is that we're seeing people think more about what it means to spread disease. Like, oh my gosh, that Walmart employee that has COVID-19, I might have checked out at their register, and oh my God, and it's like, they could have had anything.
Yeah.
You could have, oh yeah, you're right. Maybe we should stay further apart. Maybe we should. I don't know. I think we're going to see some interesting stuff. And I think right now, everybody is just making crud up as to what they think will be next, because we really don't know. And I don't think we can compare things to, like, the 1918 outbreak, because society is different. The way we communicate is different. The way we interact physically and work, and let's be blunt, there's a lot more of us. So yeah, so I don't know, it's going to be interesting.
It will be. And now a word from our sponsor, Edgewise Networks. The biggest problem in security that remains unsolved are flat networks in cloud and data centers, with unprotected attack paths that allow threats to move laterally to cause data breaches. But microsegmentation using network addresses is complicated and takes too much time. But there's a better approach: Edgewise Zero Trust Auto Segmentation. Edgewise is impossibly simple microsegmentation, delivering results immediately with a security outcome that's provable. At the core of Edgewise Auto Segmentation is Zero Trust Identity, which allows workloads to communicate only after their software identity has been verified. Malicious or unimproved software is no longer allowed to communicate. Identity-based protection provides more coverage with fewer policies to make Edgewise simple to deploy and manage. No changes to the application or network are required. One solution protects virtual machines and containers in the cloud and on-premises. To stop lateral threat movement and prevent breaches, visit edgewise.net for a demo and to see results within minutes. So, I'm sure I'm not sure if you're disappointed. I'm just going to preface it with disappointment before I talk about this topic, but security conferences, right? All conferences in general, they're all going virtual. There's pros and cons to a virtual conference, right? We won't go into those details on the show, but if you haven't heard, or those of us, our listeners haven't heard, B-Sides Las Vegas was canceled There's some talk that DEF CON and Black Hat may or may not.
Even if it's canceled, nobody's going to believe it's canceled.
I know. I was just going to get into that. Like, the joke is that DEF CON is canceled every year. That's just kind of the joke.
What's the website? defcon.ws that people share.
Something
it's
like
got
that.
an open letter to, it's been canceled forever. That site was registered in like 1873.
And it would be so funny that this is the year that it actually is canceled, and no one will believe it, but
people will still go.
They'll still go, yeah. But I'm interested in your take on what you think of virtual conferences, and is that something that you think people are going to jump all over, or is it really going to be kind of it's really going to hurt the security industry in the long run?
I don't think it's going to hurt the security industry. And part of my reason for not thinking it's going to hurt the security industry is I would argue that we already have too many conferences. So I'm not saying we
this is natural selection.
No, I don't think it's natural selection.
The weak die and the strong conferences.
Yeah, screw all those people. No, I don't think the industry is hurt by lots of conferences.
Yeah.
I also don't think the industry is hurt by not as many conferences. The research is going to get out, the papers are going to get out, the work is going to get out, people are going to talk about things, it's going to be different. I think that the virtual conferences are good. I'm biased though, right? Secure Ideas has long offered online courses and things like that we think are useful, as do lots of other training companies. So I think that the idea of a virtual conference has been proven out. I think that, and I'll pick on an example, Wild West Hacking Fest out in San Diego, John Strand and Velda Lemke, they did a damn good job of running a conference online.
I've heard that.
Very, very short notice, right? Like, this wasn't let's plan on this 2 months in advance. This was oh damn, we got to convert. And they did wonderfully. I think that there are pros and cons to both. And like you said, we're not going to get into all those, but I think that we're going to see people adopt to this idea of online interaction at a conference better. We're going to see really good talks. The only thing I wish is that it stop running them all on Saturday and Sunday.
Especially now, right?
Yes. Come on. Saturday and Sunday is when I make pens. Because I'm a pen maker and tester. But you know what I mean? Like, I think they're good. I do think there is the opportunity for them to be bad, but I think that same opportunity for things to be bad were with normal conferences. I've been to some conferences, we can name a few where the organizer of that conference never should have rented that room. Mm-hmm. So, but I've been to other conferences where it was amazing. I think we'll see the exact same thing. The one thing I'm really happy about with the virtual conferences, accessibility. The number of people who were never able to attend a conference, whether it was due to the area they were in or money or time off or whatever, we've already seen a huge uptick in people who were attending their first conference at a virtual conference. And in my opinion, that's beautiful. And
I agree with you.
Yeah. That I'm really, really happy about.
That is a huge benefit. One of the things for me is I think the hard part for a lot of people is kind of the hallway con, as they like to call it, right?
Yes.
Where the physical interaction with others in the community. And for a lot of us, it's really the only time of the year that I know all of us get together in one place, like DEF CON and Black Hat. And so
that I don't think we're going to fix with virtual conferences, because even if you do, and we've done it, right? Like Squad 7, the 501st group here in Northeast Florida that I'm a member of, we just recently did it because we can't get out and see each other and troop and, for obvious reasons. And so we're doing Zoom conference where we get on and we play stupid games or whatever and talk, and it's not the same. And so, I don't think we're ever going to be able to replace that. But I think that there are ways to help with it. And, but I'm not smart enough to do the right things. So, I agree with you.
It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I think there's going to be this hybrid approach for the next year or so, where even if things start slowly getting back to normal, where they allow in-person conferences, they're probably going to cap the attendees at a certain number, and then they'll give, I think, a virtual option for people that don't want to show up in person.
I think where the negative is that a lot of people either don't think about or honestly don't care is on the sponsors, right? And I'll tell you that Secure Ideas, we spent about, I want to say it was like $40,000 in first quarter on stuff preparing to sponsor conferences. And we did that because of a couple of reasons. One, that's how we generate a lot of our leads, right? People know about us, they hear about us, what have you. Two, this is our 10th anniversary. So we actually had this big plan of having, we have challenge coins, we have a new booth and all this kind of stuff, none of which got used because, well, and it won't be usable next year, right? And I'm not crying poor, I'm just pointing out an example, is that we moved to virtual conferences also, and we've continued to sponsor some and help with that. But at that point, honestly, they become just a cost to Secure Ideas. There isn't that second benefit. And while companies like Secure Ideas, like your own, are going to continue to do that, I think what we're going to start seeing is a drop in sponsorship. And while I know that there are people who think, yes, I don't have to listen to vendors, I don't think they realize that that's how the conference happens, right? Like,
it's true.
That's what funds most conferences. That's where I see a worry, is that we're going to see this downtick in quality conferences because they won't have the resources necessary. Because I would call out to any other sponsor or potential sponsor to say, suck it up and do the right thing, because we got to help with this. So, but that's a side, right?
So anything coming up with Secure Ideas? Anything?
We've got our online
virtual
courses
training.
Yeah, we've got our virtual training coming out. The CISSP, the next run of the CISP launches, I think, the first week in June. We do have a 25% off coupon if anybody wants to.
Ooh, excellent.
Yeah, just it's SI Friend. So one word, SI Friend. It'll get you 25% of whatever the current price is. I know we're still in the early bird. It'll give you 25% off of that.
Can we link that in our show notes for our listeners?
Sorry?
Can we link that in our show notes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's be blunt. The more people that sign up for the courses, the better it is for Secure Ideas. So I'm cool with it. But yeah, other than that, no, we're just working, busting butt. We are doing something new that I'd love to hear feedback on. We've been releasing videos with content, and it hit us that they weren't very accessible for people who are deaf. And so we actually have a staff member who knows sign language, and we're having her, I don't know what you call it, translate? Like, she's signing the video while the video is playing. And we're trying to figure out if that format works for people, or would they rather us do like 2 different video, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So any feedback on that would be awesome, because we're trying to, and that's all our free stuff. That's not, I'm not, we're trying to make it easier for people to use our stuff.
Cool.
So,
good stuff, Kevin. Well, once again, thank you for joining us this week and giving us your insights, as always.
I appreciate it.
Yes, have a good rest of your week, and stay safe.
You too, man.